time that we were here, today is February 14th, Valentine's Day. This is when I plant the hardy annuals. The last two times we were here, we dug up the soil, we planted our perennials nice and early in the fall and the winter, and we added compost and sluggo to keep the snails off. And so now is the last step before a big April explosion of flowers, hopefully. And we're going to put in the annuals because they tend to bloom a lot faster. A lot of the California native annuals bloom a lot faster. So an example is if I had put the baby blue eyes in January, it would have been starting to bloom already, which would be bad because they would be in bloom. Nobody else would be in bloom yet. And they would be finished up before April. So we don't want this too early. So this is the baby blue eyes I'm going to put in right now. Right here, this size. Normally these would get planted about a foot and a half apart. I plant them a little bit closer because of the whole smorgasbord of flowers that I like. I like that crowded look for this garden. This is Papa versitigrum, one of the fastest poppies to bloom, one of the taller poppies. It's a lavender poppy, and as you can see, there's a lot of sluggo in here. We're putting it down pretty regularly when it rains. Don't use a little trowel to dig your hole for the plants because you're going to dig a little hole for the little 4-inch pot, and there's going to be sort of clay soil around it, so the roots aren't going to be able to go out into the soil. You want to get a shovel and loosen it up as best you can so that the roots have somewhere to go, so they're just not squeezed into a little tiny hole. So I dug a good sized hole for each pot. Oh, roots coming through. Goof around with the roots, loosen them up. There we go. So after I plant the poppy or any plant, I don't do this around it. It's not a tree and it doesn't need to be stabilized because that's just adding to the compaction of the soil. So you can just leave it nice and loose. One of the old wives' tales is that you can't plant in the rain. Well, haha, yes you can. As long as your soil is good and it's not solid clay, it's perfectly fine to plant in the rain. In fact, if you live in California, you have to plant in the rain. These are Malcolmia meridema. This is Virginia stock. I use it a lot. It's very fast. When it self-sows, it starts blooming in January. So it's a really early bloomer, and it makes purple, white, and rose flowers all at the same time, and they're really scented. So when you work in the garden in the spring, you get this aromatherapy. It's really sweet. And that's already about to bloom. And this Malcolmia is so sweet. It's like a filler that just fills in between all the other plants and ties the garden together, as they say. And there's a perennial right next to it, this Sedalcia hendersonii, which I adore because it blooms so long and is so tough. Maybe the Sedalcia will decide that it doesn't want to bloom early in the spring. And if it doesn't send its shoots up like this one here is already doing, the Malcolmia will come over it. It won't kill it, but it'll fill in that area in case the Sedalcia doesn't bloom. So if you have strong perennials you can grow that are summer bloomers, you can put spring things right next to them. They'll bloom on top of the foliage of the summer perennial, but it won't kill it. And then just as the annuals are dying down at the end of the spring, then the summer perennials are coming up through that. So I thought I'd just show you a little example of the Malcolmia meridema that we just put in. If we had planted it in January, it would be this big by now. And so I don't want that yet. And I am sitting here this far away and I can smell it. It smells so delicious. It's so sweet. It's delightful. Smells good. And it makes really cute posies for your bathroom. And these are tufted poppies, the California native tufted poppy, which makes the sweet light yellow zillions of little yellow poppies on really soft ferny foliage. I love to use it in the spring garden. Everybody loves it when they see it. It makes a garden look really meadowy. I put these annuals pretty close together. You don't have to do that, but I do, because this garden has to be pretty spectacular. At least that's the goal. And I want no bare spots in between. So if you leave bare spots in between, the plant will actually grow more to its full glory, and you get to see the real shape of it and how beautiful each individual plant is. But I aim for this conglomeration of mass wildflower effect of everybody going off at the same time, all crowded together, and I think that's really pretty. Now you see my foot here like this on the dirt? This is how I compact the soil, and probably you too. So when I'm done, I go in there and I loosen up whatever footsteps where I walk, because those footsteps really will compact the soil. There. This is Fortuna, the goddess of the nursery, I guess. I was really sick one day with the flu, and I woke up in the morning and I said, I need a mannequin. I have to have a mannequin. That very same day I went and got a mannequin, and then I painted her. And she's wearing my overalls that is a little bit too torn up for me to wear around the nursery. And she's kind of got Monopoly pieces for horns. And she celebrates the garden, and people love her when they come in, and they like to take pictures next to her. Whenever anybody leaves their glasses in the nursery, they put them on Fortuna so that in case they come back, we know where they are. Plus it makes her look smart. Well, that's it, we're done. We've got all the last of the quick blooming annuals in the garden, and I made it by my deadline, which is February 15th is the last day I plant for a spring bloom-a-thon, where everything blooms at the same time. So I'm happy.